Welcome to the With Generous Hearts podcast, where stories and spirit meet. Welcome to this week's episode of the With Generous Hearts podcast. I'm your host, Danielle DeNise. Today we have the gift of sitting down in conversation with the Deacon Emily Parker, who's the deacon here at Christ Church and the executive director of Galilee Ministries. You're going to hear the ways that God is moving from this community into neighborhoods in East Charlotte, showing up as food and presence for our neighbors. I hope this story inspires you and encourages you in your faith today. Well, welcome to the podcast. On today's episode, listeners, we have the opportunity to hear from Deacon Emily Parker, who's the deacon here at Christ Church, but also the executive director of Galilee Ministries of East Charlotte. And so we're so excited to have you with us. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Danielle. And it's great to meet you. Welcome to Charlotte. Welcome to Christ Church on staff. And we're just so happy that you're here with us.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
So I was looking into a little bit of your story, and one of the things I want to start with before we get into Galilee and those things is that you were ordained as a deacon in January of 2020.
When all was bright.
All was bright, and deacons are called to be people in the world, connecting with your neighborhood, and then the world shuts down in March of 2020. And so how do you persist in that calling? How do you live into that calling that's meant to connect with your neighbor when the world has shut down from COVID?
That's a great question, and I reflect on it from time to time. So yes, I was, ordained in January of 2020, like you said, and then placed here at Christ Church. And I had March 1st and March 8th, and then everybody went home, and I really, really struggled. I mean, it was not necessarily like a full-on dark night of the soul, but it was hard, being vocationally just way off. The axis just tilted completely. Yeah. And it's like, how do you deacon? Like, how do you be with people and in the world when you just can't? It was really difficult.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of funny, not funny, but what I thought I knew what was going to happen, and here's how this is going to go, and just 180. And I think my persistence was through being in community, being on Zoom or whatever it might be, and then just letting go. You can only white knuckle your hands so long before it's just exhausting, and realizing I just can't do this anymore. This is a God thing, and I need to step back and open my hands up and just wait and listen and wait and listen and wait and listen. That's what I did.
I think that's such a beautiful example, because I think the image you gave us of the world tilting, lots of people felt.
For sure.
Lots of people felt. And maybe it's not surprising then, with part of your story, is that God has called you to Galilee Ministries, which is accompanying people whose worlds are tilting.
Yeah.
Who in many ways are thinking, I'm waiting, and are you the answer? Is this ministry going to show up and be an embodiment of God's love? Right. So I'm wondering, if you can share with us a high-level view, a snapshot of what Galilee Ministries is.
Yeah. So Galilee, where we are at the location of what was St. Andrew's Episcopal Church on the east side of Charlotte. That church was up and running from the 1950s to 2013. The church closed in 2013. The diocese kind of paused at that point, and do we keep these buildings and this property? Do we sell it? There was a lot of discernment that went on about what to do with 3601 Central Avenue. And so through much prayer and discernment, the buildings and grounds were kept, and Galilee Ministries, or the Galilee Center, was born. So what we do a lot we're in our 10th anniversary year.
Oh, exciting.
Exciting. But what we do a lot of these days is we provide space for other nonprofit groups, which we have a couple of wellness offerings and Tai Chi and yoga. We have several feeding ministries. We have several different groups that kind of empower single mothers. We have a 40-plus plot community garden, 3 worshiping congregations over the course of the weekend. I mean, it's just, there's a lot happening, a lot of community life happening at Galilee.
Yeah.
And then other groups come and have meetings there. And so we're just really a place in the community where people can come and just be themselves, absolutely come as you are. And people are met in terms of generosity. I was thinking about it before this conversation, and it's the people showing up and being met by other people that they otherwise, the two paths never would have crossed.
Yeah.
And it's like, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to see. You never know what you're going to experience. And I think it's the generosity of presence and of taking time to show up. I'm the only full-time staff person there.
Okay.
But we have just this amazing group of volunteers that are so dedicated with their time and their talents and their treasures and all the things, but really time and presence and showing up weekly in some cases and volunteering in the food pantry and just doing whatever needs to be done in that space to meet people where they are, to connect as human beings. And this is not complicated. I mean, it's in a very complex world, which is like the understatement of the year.
Yeah.
Here is a cold bottle of water. Like, that's it.
But it's so scriptural
it's
here's a cup of water.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things that you're highlighting is that in these moments of crisis, in a moments of world tilting access, to be given water is to be seen. It's to be human. It's to say, you aren't a number. You're not a statistic. You're not a client. You are a human being among us. You're walking alongside people, I imagine, served by these nonprofits. And we're experiencing that crisis. Sometimes they get on their feet and then it's cut out from them again. Other times it's like, this is the first time ever. What have you learned from this community that you've seen utilize the gifts of Galilee about perseverance and generosity?
I feel particularly when the big food pantry is open, I kind of walk around. I try to kind of make myself available just to be present and just to talk with people or get people water or whatever it might be. But I feel like there's always laughter.
Okay.
There's always someone who's just brightening everybody up and kind of, putting on truly in a good mood or putting on a good mood that's kind of making things rise a little bit, the mood rise. Some people are very somber and just keep it to themselves. Some people are very talkative and it's just like this, I'm here. Everyone's treated with respect. There's a lot of dignity going on. That to me, perseverance-wise, that there's this life spirit that is very present and alive in the place. When there are all these different kinds of people from all over the place gather for like a single purpose, and they are met with respect and with eye contact and with time and with slowing down and getting to know people. I mean, it's beautiful.
I think there's something to what you are describing of, you said, a generosity of presence. It's a generosity of, I'm going to sit here with you. I'm going to see you. I'm going to feel your story. And that is difficult in our culture. And I think that's actually something that deacons offer to the church, is a reminder of like, no, this is the way of God. Like this generosity of presence is a way of God. Yeah. What does that mean for you? How has that shaped the ministry that you do at Galilee?
I have to really work on, when I get in like a certain work mode.
Yeah.
The flow is fast. My brain's going really fast, and I'm thinking and making lists and typing emails at the same time and just doing, but I'm in this groove, but I'm at my desk.
Yeah.
Which is, yes, I need to be at my desk sometimes, but really I need to be out in the hallway, slowing down, slowing my own roll, which can, I walk fast, I move fast,
My husband's always like, do you have a mosey speed? Because you are not doing it right now.
Me too. I'm just like, can't we just walk a little faster? And it's like, I've recently become aware that I really need to pay attention to that. Yes, it might feel good within myself to scratch the itch of being productive, but that's not the point. Or it's 5% of the point. I mean, it's really taking the time and to practice slowing down. I literally I'm going to have to practice this or put time on the calendar to slow down and to be present, because I know from experience, from doing hospital chaplaincy work in the past and just from people who have served me with their own presence, it is the biggest gift we can give one another. And it's free, and all you have to do is be curious, passionate, and there. So it's a learning. I do it. I know I can do it. And I love doing it, but I need to kind of put the tasks aside because they're important, but they're not that important. They'll be important.
It's interesting. You're just sharing that is transporting me back to, I was in Guatemala we were at school and we were doing home visits to students at the school. And some of the groups had to walk like 2 blocks to the homes. Every one of them, the houses I had to visit was up a mountain. Like it was just like, you want me to sweat and you want me, like, I'm not made for cardio. And I just was like, oh my gosh. And so I had this group of teenagers with me and they were like, up the mountain in a second. And we went to see this little boy's house. And I was like, leave me. It's fine. You just go up the mountain without me. I'll be okay. I'm like, I just need to be slow and I'm breathing and going up the mountain. And when I got to the top of the mountain, that little boy was standing by the door to his home. And I said, you didn't have to wait for me. And he said, Daniela, you're my guest. Of course I'm going to wait for you. And I just bawled because I was like, I wouldn't have waited for him. I would have moved on. We would have done the home visit. We have a schedule. And it did not matter to him. And that experience was one of those that taught me what you're describing. Yeah, I have tasks, but the human beings that God has placed us in relationship with are the people that God has called us to be generous with, right? That it's not just the managing of the tasks. And so I'm just, when you were saying that, I was like, I can see that little boy's face looking at me like, Daniela, like you're like, of course I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I wonder, my follow-up question that I've been thinking about is, what has that taught you about God?
That's what God does for us. God's always there. We're breathing him in, or whatever. We're breathing God in, and God is always there for us, but just stopping and slowing down enough to remember that.
Yeah.
Critical piece of information for our lives as believers, as Christians, this is the example. This is what we're doing here. And just to slow our own little agenda roll down and really turn and embrace it. It takes practice. I mean, it's very radical.
Yeah.
To do that.
But you're also doing this as a nonprofit in a time where services are being cut, grant funding and federal dollars are drastically being reduced, and need is not stopping. In fact, need is increasing. My hunch is you're seeing that in feeding ministries and those kind of things. Really practically, what does it mean that a church would put dollars towards Galilee? What does it mean that they would use funds to provide food or those kind of things? Like, how do you see those tangible gifts show up and be put to work at Galilee?
I mean, well, very simply, it helps us keep the lights on and the pantry open. I mean, it's really that simple. It's not, it just really kind of helps us run and function as a small but mighty organization, to really serve people. And you're right. The need is not going to go, it's not going to subside, or it's not going to ebb or whatever. So we need to be ready for that. And this is, last week I wrote the e-devotion, and I wrote it about Lydia's Pantry, which is Galilee's emergency food and household and dignity supplies pantry.
Okay.
That kind of comes alongside.
I love the phrase dignity supplies, by the way. Yeah, I just think it's so beautiful.
Yes. It's yeah. And so Lydia's Pantry is what we call it, and it comes alongside our Big Nourish Up pantry to kind of supplement. But last week I just wrote about Lydia's Pantry, which was, we have expanded the pantry based on the generosity of a parishioner here.
Okay.
Which is amazing. And Lydia's Pantry is supplied from donations from churches, from individuals. So it doesn't come from a warehouse somewhere. It's all individuals and individuals. And so I just wrote about Lydia's and hey, we're short on some things. We're, if you're called to contribute, that'd be great. And that published at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. And the next morning, there were Amazon boxes at the door with food. And it happened all day long. Either deliveries coming, the doorbell kept ringing. I'm like,
the delivery person was like, you probably did something to get all of this.
And then people would just show up and drop things off, and it kept happening this week, and it'll likely roll into next week. It's just, that. It's dollars, it's cans of black beans, it's sitting at the front desk and greeting people as they come in. It's all the ways that this church contributes to Galilee. It's incredible. And it's integral to the life we have there, along with other churches in the convocation. But Christ Church is absolutely a leader in that.
I think it's so important to remember that dollars given or food given become actual nourishment to human beings.
Yes.
Right? They don't sit on a shelf. My guess is emergency pantry things move out. There's crisis and those are shared. And so I think that's beautiful. Okay. So I know that you grew up at Holy Comforter and you're here at Christ Church as a deacon, but deacons don't necessarily belong to a congregation.
They belong to the diocese.
Belong to the diocese.
Yes.
But spiritual home matters. And clearly you were formed in a spiritual home. What does being part of a spiritual home mean to you personally?
It means a place where you can go as deep as you feel called to go, kind of exploring who you are and why you're here, and your purpose in life and your connection with other people. It's a safe place, but it should be maybe a challenging place too. Kind of make sure or invite you
deeper.
Deeper to consider what is the calling on your life. Like we all have a calling on. You do, Rick does. I mean, everyone does, and it's just kind of having a space and people around who are like dialed into that frequency, who are willing and able to kind of walk with you on your journey to figure out kind of who you are and how you can serve in the world. Like, what does it all mean? That's what it means to me. It's hugely important.
So when people come to Galilee, I imagine they come from all different spiritual walks.
Oh, yeah.
Those that are
not just
only showing up, but are only showing up because it is a God thing. But why does it matter that it is a testimony of God's love or a place where God's love is embodied? Why does that matter for you as the executive director?
To show that it exists in the world. I mean, because it's real. It's not just something cute we talk about. It's like, no, actually, this is a real thing. And look, y'all, look, you who's having a terrible time, come here and be in community and live out God's love, like modeling God's neighborhood. This is kind of like how we do things around here.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And man, there's a lot of examples of Christian community that are not love, right? That people aren't experiencing as full of love, but full of judgment or hate and or not even dignity to say, like, you can come here, but there's going to be shame in our ability to help you. And to just offer that with humanity feels like a gift.
It's so simple.
What is one of your favorite stories from Galilee, just of transformation or what has been happening there?
There are so many, and it's like asking me, like, what's your
if
favorite?
If you can't see her head is like a Rolodex right now.
Like,
what are all these stories? Yes.
I have no clue how to answer that question. I think it's not to be too vague, but it's just like the confluence of people all the time. Folks who would never cross paths with each other are just kind of existing, and even more than they're communicating and they're talking and they're trying to help each other in whatever ways. Like, it's just, I'm the most privileged lady in Charlotte that I get to serve there, just to see kind of the humanity of it all happen and unfold in real time. And it's messy and it's funny and it's sad and it's like all the things. All the things, but everyone is there with amazing intentions and the desire to give and to get and to just share. It's quite something.
So here at Christ Church, we've got a new building going up. We've gotten some funds raised through a capital campaign, which a portion of those are being shared with the neighborhood through outreach ministries. I've asked everybody on the podcast, what do you hope for the next season here at Christ Church? As you are with people in this community on Sunday mornings, helping proclaim the gospel and assisting in worship, what do you hope for the next season here?
there's just so much going on, and the building is very exciting. It's just like growing and growing and growing and growing. And I think with that, it's just keeping kind of growing out into the community. We already have so many great community partners, but just to get folks out and connected, I think is what I'd love to see personally. And just like, come learn, come see, come do, come be with.
I want to ask you one more thing. I hadn't thought about this, but you just used the phrase partners. Partnership and outreach is
everything.
It's like non-negotiable, right?
You
can't do this as a lone ranger. Like it's meant to be together. So what do you say about, like, what can you say about partnership and generosity? Like how those things go hand in hand?
It's everything. And I know, just speaking in terms from Galilee's perspective, we have our partners who are like our in-house partners, and we have partners all across the community. And I think it's a thing of like just being in very regular communication with people. Like, all right, what are you doing? What are we doing? How can we do it together? Hopefully not recreate the wheel, but it happen, just how do we dance together?
Yeah.
Smoothly, with the goal in mind of like just serving the community as best we can.
Yeah.
And just being aligned with other groups who are kindred spirits in that way. It's really important.
I think that's a shift, honestly, in the culture of the church. I think a lot of churches have had a mindset for a long time of, okay, we'll have our own pantry. We'll have our own ministry to those experiencing housing insecurity. We'll have our own. And I've seen a real shift in ministries saying, and churches saying, wait a second, we don't have to be everything to everyone. And in fact, lots of people do this better than us. So let's come alongside them and fan the flame, as opposed to sort of have to, carry everything or get the credit from it. Yeah, all of those pieces. And it feels like Galilee is really the embodiment of that. Like, this will be a partnered place where we proclaim Jesus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is. I think it has been, and I think always will be.
If someone is listening and is wondering, like, should I be a deacon? Like, am I called?
Just call me.
Okay.
And I'll take you to lunch.
What do you love about being a deacon?
Being out in the world. I mean, I love serving here. I mean, y'all see me on Sundays, Sunday mornings, usually in the traditional service, but I love being out in the world and just bumping into people and listening and talking and finding out, like, who are you and what do you need and what do we need, and just being with folks in the trench a lot of the time. Like, folks who aren't having the best day ever.
Yeah. That's so beautiful.
It's just kind of where I belong.
So if you want to be a deacon, or you're thinking God might be calling you more deeply into your neighborhood,
call me. Send me an email. We'll talk. Really,
I think it's a gift to the church in ways that we tend to think of. Okay, if I'm going to be in ministry professionally, it's going to be in clergy, and I'll be in a church building. And I think here are deacons, which are literally the generous example of God in our neighborhoods. Right? And what does that look like? So you persisted from I'm sheltered in place during COVID to I'm getting to run in and bump in and laugh with humans who show up when they're in need to experience the goodness of God, which I think is so cool. I am ending every show by asking the same two questions, which is, when it gets hard, people can lean into God, but they also tend to lean into snacks. So I want to know what your go-to comfort food is.
Such a good question. Oh my gosh. I just want like cheese and crackers.
Really?
Sweet. Okay. I like a sweet thing now and again, but I just want like the savory cheese and chips and dip.
That's so good. And what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for you. And to meet you. And for this congregation, and for folks I get to serve with at Galilee, and for my husband, my parents, my brother, all the things. I mean, I wake up, I've tried to introduce a very simple practice every morning, just waking up. Lord, thank you for another day. And I kind of recite that today is whatever the date is.
I would have to look that up before I could recite it.
Yeah, and just thanking God for the the things that I have like right in my eyesight in my room. And just kind of started out like that. And so thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you sharing with us, and I hope for our listeners that they are more intrigued about Galilee Ministries.
Come
and if
see me.
Come check it out, come visit, see what's going on there, and know that as we journey together, that our dollars and our gifts and food donated, all of those things become the answer to prayer to people who find their way to Galilee.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. The thing that's going to stay with me is that generosity is presence to people. Generosity is showing up and seeing people as human and taking time for that. And you might need to schedule it on your calendar like Deacon Emily joked, but maybe as a church, we need to lean into the gift of presence as generosity. I can't wait to hear stories about God's presence moving in your life. I invite you to share those stories with us. Use the link in the show notes to share a voice memo or an email so we can hear more from you. As the director of annual giving, it's not surprising that I want to invite you to join the ways that God's working in East Charlotte and right here at Christ Church. I want to invite you to join us by making a financial commitment, what we call a pledge, to our annual campaign, knowing that a portion of your gift goes to Galilee and makes an impact in neighborhoods all around Charlotte. You can pledge at christchurchcharlotte.org. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presence as you listen on a treadmill or in a car or in your home. Thank you for showing up with generous hearts.